Yeah, hi chaps. Just a quick video on how to jack up your Atom 4. There's not a lot of information out there on how to do this, and this information comes directly from Aerial Factory in the UK. So this is their best recommendations on how to do it. So let's first look at some of the tools and stuff you need. First thing you need is obviously a jack. This is the one I've got. It's a low profile one, 70 millimeters. The little saddle is from the ground, which is quite low. Fits under the wishbone quite nicely. You don't need one that low actually. I think it's something like 110 millimeters. The arm, the lowest point, which is this front A arm here. You need one of those things there, or two of those rather, wheel chucks, to stop the atom from rolling around on the front. And then you will need a 19mm socket for the wheel nuts, lug nuts. You need a breaker bar to break those nuts. I've got this massive one here. It's really long, a bit overkill to be honest, but that does the job. And that's it in terms of tools, I think. Oh, and a torque wrench as well that's capable of going up to 100 Newton meters, I think, is the for the lug nuts. So let's start at the back. Oh yeah, and of course axle stands as well if you want to get the car completely off the ground. So let's start at the back. So Ariel recommended I jack the back up first and then the front, and the reason for that is if you jack the front up first and then the rear, all the weight is at the back and it can destabilize the car and potentially flip out, fall over, of course, and you don't want that, do we? So, you know, causing lots of damage and potential injury, the car come crashing down. So you start with the back first and then the front, and then lowering the car is the reverse. So the front first, so you lower the front first and then the rear. And in terms of jacking the back up, you've got plenty of options here. There's so many places to do it. The manual actually says the cross member at the front, halfway in where the end, right in front of the fuel tank. But I use this bar here, and I verified this with the factory. So right here, right in the middle, as close to the middle as possible, so it's evenly jacks up. But to be honest, even if you jacked up at the corner, the car would go up equally as. Each side would go up pretty much equal because the chassis is so stiff on these cars. They don't twist at all. They're so stiff. But of course you want to jack up as close to the middle as possible. And then once you've done that, get your axle stands under there. I've actually PPF the chassis underneath, as well as I've got some rubber inserts on top. All you need really there is like some 3mm. I've got a 3mm rubber and I stuck it on top. I mean, you can buy axle stand covers, but I couldn't get any to fit this, so I just made them. And then you just gently lower it on, and then once the rear is up and on these stands, you then do the front. Now the front is a little bit more tricky, a bit of a pain in the backside actually, I have to say, because this jack I've got here is not a long reach one. If you've got a long reach one, you might be able to get the jack under here and jack up from this point. But even if you did that, you still need to take off this body panel. There's body panels here. You can see I've taken both sides off. Just a bit of a pain to get in there. But once it's off, you can then, if you've got a long reach jack, you can jack up there. If not, as the manual says and what I recommend, and I think what a lot of the guys do there is they jack up. You place the saddle as close to the chassis as possible, not down here, not in the middle, as close to the chassis as possible, where it's strongest. The front end's it's not very heavy anyway, and then jack it up here, and again as per the back, because the chassis is so stiff, you end up. The front, both left and right, end up jacking up at the same rate, so the same height, and you get it to the height you want, and you just put the jack stand underneath, lower it back down. And again, I put PPF here as well, just to be sure. I don't want the chassis to scratch up and then rust. So, and that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope that was useful. Cheers.